Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. We are going to start by doing a warm-up that gets us ready for what we're doing today. It just reviews our congruence. So find the side LM and the angle R. All right, so we are now going to be talking about angles, and specifically angles that are formed by lines that are being intersected, okay? So the main vocab you're going to learn today is vertical angles, supplementary angles, and complementary angles. And we're going to talk about how to use theorems and rules to find the different angles that you're going to be working with. So the first thing that might come up is an adjacent angle, and we're not going to actually be solving for an adjacent angle, even though at least using that verbiage, but it does come up, so I wanted to put it in here. So an adjacent angle is a side-by-side angle, so something that is right next to an angle, and they have to share a common ray. So that blue line with the arrow is a ray, and so that would be an adjacent angle. This is one of the ones, the first of the three that you really need to focus on, and they are called vertical angles. Okay, vertical angles are opposite angles. So if you look at the diagram, the two X angles are opposite on either side. Those are vertical. The two Y angles are also vertical. Okay, so this diagram has two sets of vertical angles, and they're opposite of each other or across from each other. Complementary angles are going to be two angles that add up to be 90 degrees, okay? So in order to be complementary, they need to be 90 degrees. And then likewise, supplemental angles are going to be two angles that add to be 180 degrees, okay? So complementary is 90, supplementary is 180. So if we look at this example, we have a 90-degree angle. So because we have a 90-degree angle, we know that we're going to be dealing with complementary angles. So if we're looking at this, I'm actually going to pull up my screen. Okay, if we're looking at this diagram right here, we know that it has to be equal to 90. So to find X, we would take 90 minus 25, and we would find that this angle right here needs to be 65 in order for 65 plus 25 to be equal to 90. That is a complementary angle. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what we do if we need to do some equation solving through this. So it tells us that angle DEF and angle FEG are complementary. Complementary meaning 90 degrees is what they add to. So if we know the measure of DEF is 3x minus 4, the measure of FEG is 5x plus 6, how do we find both angles? So again, let me pull up my screen here. Okay, so we know that we have two angles, and we know that they are complementary, which means that they are going to add to 90. So that means we're going to take 3x minus 4 plus 5x plus 6 and set it equal to 90 degrees. Our two angles added together equal 90. So we're going to combine like terms. 3x plus 5x is 8x. Negative 4 plus 6 is 2. Now to solve for x, we are going to subtract 2. We get 8x is equal to 88. Divide by 8, and x is equal to 11. But notice that if we are to zoom out and look at this, it doesn't say what is x. It says, what are the measures of both angles? So the way we need to find those measures is we need to take x and we need to plug it back in. So we are going to do DEF, and it is going to be 3 times 11 minus 4. We're plugging in this right here for x. So 3 times 11 is 33. 33 minus 4 is 29. So that tells us the measure of DEF is 29. And now you can do two things. You can either plug 11 into this and solve it, or because you know that they're complementary, you could take 90 minus 29 and you would get 61 for FEG. But just to play devil's advocate, I want to do the math and make sure that our answer is actually going to be equal to 61. So if I take 5x plus 6, remember x is 11, 5 times 11 is 55, 55 plus 6 is there. So you can see that either way you did it, you would have come up with the same answer. All right, so now we are going to be talking about a supplementary angle, okay? Supplementary means it adds to 180 degrees. So if we have 151 already, that means that we need to take that. These two angles together have to be 180 because they're supplementary. So if we take 180 and we subtract 151, we get 29. So that tells us that that angle right there is 29. Okay? So supplementary is 180, complementary is 90. So now we're going to do one similar to that complementary one that we did where we had to solve. Okay, the difference is now is going to be supplementary. So we're going to be adding our two values to 180. So we have 9x plus 1, 8x plus 9, and it has to be equal to 180. So 9x plus 1 plus 8x plus 9, our two angles are supplementary. They're added together to be 180. I am going to combine my like terms. So 9x plus 8x is 17x. 1 plus 9 is 10. We're going to keep solving. So we're going to subtract 10 from both sides and divide 17, and we get x is equal to 10. But again, this does not say what is x equal to. It says what are the measures of the angle. So I have to plug it back in. So measure of DEF is 9 times x plus 1. 9 times 10 is 90, plus 1 is 91 degrees. So again, I can choose to either subtract from 180 or I can choose to plug it in. Either way, you should come up with the same answer. So 180 minus 91 should give us 89 degrees for FEG. And just to check and make sure, I'm going to plug it into this equation. 8 times 10 plus 9. 8 times 10 is 80. Plus 9 is 89 degrees. Okay? So now we're going to try to do some practice with vertical. So we've done complementary, we've done some supplementary. Now we're going to do some practice with vertical angles. If you look at this diagram, you should notice which pairs match up because they are opposite of each other. Okay, and remember that means that they are equal. Vertical angles are equal. So if we look at this, we should notice that these two angles are vertical angles and these two angles are vertical angles. So if we had to say the measure of angle 1, we would say the measure of angle 1 is 54 degrees. And the measure of angle 2 is 126 degrees, okay? That is how a vertical angle works. So now we're going to do some with solving for a vertical angle. And in this case, we don't need to know what the vertical angle is because it's already given to us as a degree. But in this case, it wants you to do some solving. So you have to remember the rule that vertical angles are equal. So we can set this up into an equation that says these two angles are equal, or 11y minus 36 is equal to 63. So then we can solve, and it asks us to solve for y, so we can just use our equation. We are going to add 36. We get 11y is equal to 99. Divide by 11, and y is equal to 9. So we just used our rules of vertical angles to be able to determine two angles are equal. We can solve something. Okay, what about for something like this? We have a set of vertical angles. We're going to need some information. So in order to be able to find x and y, we're going to have to determine which one we can actually do first. Okay, we're not going to be, it does have to be done in a certain order. We're not going to be able to do it in some random order. Okay, so when I look at this, I recognize that these two angles right here are vertical angles, which makes them be equal. That is where I have to start. I can't start here because there's no information for me on this side, but there is information for me here. So I have to start by saying that x plus 15 is equal to 50. And so then when I solve this, I subtract 15, I get x is equal to 35. Now I have x, and now I know 35 plus 15 is 50, which I already knew because they are equal. Now I can use the other information I have, which is that these two angles right here are supplementary. They are on a straight line. They have to add to 180 degrees, which tells me that 50 plus y plus 30 has got to be 180. So I'm going to combine my like terms. I get y plus 80 is equal to 180. I subtract 80, and y is equal to 100. So I've solved for x, I've solved for y. I know that this angle has to be 130, this angle has to be 50, so now I've solved all of my angles. So I'm going to have you guys do a little bit of practice, okay? I want you to find x and find y, and then find the angles. Okay, so solve this for x, then solve for y, and then tell me what those angles actually have to be. Okay, so let's see how you guys do on this one now. So this one, we're going to look for all of our angles. So remember, find the two that you know you can set equal to each other, and then just kind of work around that. So you should see that there's a set of vertical angles you should solve for first. Then you should see that there is a set of complementary angles that you should solve second. And once you have that, you can subtract from 180 and find the last little bit of information. So good luck. Hope you guys do this well. All right, so we are going to spend today doing a little bit of practice. There's a quizzes assignment for you. It's got 7 questions on it. So you need to get a 70%. Remember, you can retry as many times as it takes to get to a 70. If you're struggling with this, come to office hours tomorrow so that I can help you through it. We can work through problem by problem and help you out. And then we will be doing some extra practice on vertical, complementary, and supplementary angles tomorrow as well. So I hope you guys are doing good and have a good day.